clone that into other devices, and the person still has their passport. They don't know that anything has been stolen.
ID fraud can wreck your life. Just ask Catherine Bennett. Her passport was lost in the post and ended up in the hands of a Ghanaian woman who put her photograph in the document. She then moved to Holland, using Catherine's surname to start a new life. Returning to England, the imposter registered at a GP's, moving Catherine's private medical records in the process. It was only at this point that Catherine realised something was badly amiss.
I rang my doctors to make an appointment, only to be told we've transferred all your records to Slough. We don't have no medical records for you, they've gone to doctor's surgery in Slough. At the time I was going through IVF, it was something I didn't need. So I rang the police and the NHS, went down to the NHS offices at Oldham, who produced a passport with her picture in it.
The police tracked down the fraudster, but she refused to give her real name.
I got a phone call at midnight one night to say to me, we've arrested her, she's now in custody. But she would not give her name. All she would say is Catherine Michaela Bennett, Stirling, 29th of August 72.
But this woman has been to court and she was charged on your name.
In my name. Charged and fingerprinted and everything in my name.
This was just the start of Catherine's problems. When she applied for a job and had her criminal record checked, she was told she had a conviction for, you guessed it, identity fraud.
I've got a criminal record for stealing my own identity.
What do you mean?
I had to do a CRB check for a job that I went for in security. When I got the check, it came back as having a conviction for fraud. When I rang them up, they said it's for ID fraud. I said, but it was me that was ID frauded. I was the victim.
Do they believe you?
No, they don't. They kind of think I'm making it up, or there's no smoke without fire kind of thing. So I was told the only way I could prove it wasn't me was to go and have my fingerprints taken. I'm no criminal, I'm not going to do it. Why should I? They won't destroy them, they'll keep them on record. I've done nothing wrong.
The police say they've now removed Catherine's criminal record. But her experience shows the importance of secure passports, whether it's the paper copy or the information on the chip. Back in our bunker, Adam is now revealing how he could create a fake passport with my details.
Here's the chip in the back of your passport. This is a standard chip, and it's one you can buy off the shelf. So if I take a blank, for example, and now write it, so it's putting your data onto this chip.
All that's left to do now is match the information on the chip to the code at the bottom of the passport. Adam says that, in theory, could open the e-gates on our borders.
What you actually need is this information, which is called the MRZ, the machine readable zone, and that is read by the e-gate and used to get the password to log into the chip. But if you had a document that looked like this, with one of these chips maybe tucked in the page behind, and you put that into the e-gate, then yes, that's what would happen.
So the ability to clone these secure documents is very real and you can do it?
Oh yeah, I mean this is easy. The data that's stored on there is stored according to an industry standard which is published. So there's nothing secret about what we're doing. We're not hacking the chip. We're actually doing exactly what it's designed for, which is to store some data in a particular way. So we just follow the same standard that the passports follow, and hey presto, we've got a device, in this case a card, which behaves exactly the same as a genuine passport.
The Home Office says the readers at airports would detect any tampering with the passport. But terrorism experts believe that the fight against forged travel documents is a battle that cannot be won.
The fact that you can clone mobile phones, SIM cards, credit cards, cash point cards, why would a passport chip be any different? I'm not convinced, to be honest with you, that we're ever going to get on top of fake passports as a trade in the black market.
The Home Office has spent an estimated £250 million introducing biometric passports. They insist the chip makes travelling easier for the public and enhances security.
The balance that has to be struck is to make the passport as secure as possible. And clearly, in many ways, these chips do make it more secure, as well as more easily readable, because obviously the passport also needs to be a document that allows people in and out of countries. I don't think that the passport is rendered any less safe by the existence of this chip, and certainly it's rendered more convenient.
But there have already been some alarming blunders involving biometric passports. 2 years ago, Peace Sandberg was imprisoned for illegally bringing a child into the UK. After serving her sentence, she was deported to Sweden and banned from entering the UK for 10 years. That should have been the last we saw of her. But in May this year, she re-entered the UK. She didn't need a disguise, she didn't need to smuggle herself over the border. She simply walked through the e-gates at Stansted Airport.
In the recent past, Swedish passports have been able to get through the machine without successfully checking them against watch lists. And the prime example of that, the much publicised example, of a Nigerian Swedish national who had been sentenced and then subsequently deported, who managed to enter the United Kingdom on a Swedish passport without anybody knowing.
That's not the end of it. We've seen an email from a border worker revealing that 7 weeks ago, a man accidentally went through the e-gates at Manchester Airport with his sister's passport. After he told a border official, he was instructed to try again with the same passport. The gates opened, no alarm was raised. But the most alarming glitch is at Stansted Airport, where we've been told that until very recently the machines couldn't read Dutch and Lithuanian passports. The border official overseeing the gates would have been alerted to this problem, but our contact warned this could have led to lapses in security.
From my experience and what I'm led to believe from colleagues, essentially they can get through the machine without being stopped.
So just to clear up one thing, if I turned up with a stolen Dutch passport, what are the chances that I would get through without being checked?
That's very difficult to say as a proportion. All you can say is that the Dutch passport would get you through the facial recognition machines, and then it's odds on as to how overworked the immigration officer is, who's meant to be minding all of the relevant facial recognition machines as to whether they have any chance of picking it up. I would say you have a pretty good chance of getting through. Certainly a lot better than if you went through normal immigration channels.
That really worries me.
And it worries immigration officers as well.
The Home Office told us they have now rectified this problem and are investigating the Stansted and Manchester incidents. They maintain these are isolated errors and they have confidence in the technology.
It's always distressing to hear about individual instances where the system fails, and any system will go wrong sometime, whether it's entirely human-based, entirely technology-based, or if you have a mixture of the two. What you can sensibly do is devise a system that minimises the number and allows you some sort of decent backup so that there are people around if someone is behaving suspiciously. But I don't think from that it's fair to generalise that the whole system is failing. You should give up the whole concept of e-gates.
But cuts in the budget of the UK Border Agency are going to put even more pressure on the e-gate system. The agency has to save £500 million by 2015. And according to this confidential document, written for the Home Office ahead of the spending review and leaked to Tonight, that means fewer border officials and more of us going through e-gates.
If we start rolling out more of these machines, and if, hand in hand with that, we start reducing the number of trained, skilled immigration officers, what do you think will be the outcome?
You will see a greater degree of breaches in immigration control. You will see organised crime, terrorists and immigration offenders increasingly becoming aware of the problems with the immigration control that exists and using that to their advantage.
The Home Office does not yet know how many frontline posts will be lost as a result of cuts. But staff have told us that performance has already been damaged by a recruitment freeze and reduction in training. For example, forgery detections at Stansted Airport are down more than a quarter year on year. The Home Office puts this down to a spike in detections last year, They also vow that immigration officials have a central role to play in border security.
The ideal security system combines experienced staff with what you can get out of technology, because of course what you're doing, particularly at airports, is not just trying to stop a few people coming in, though that's a hugely important part of the job. It's also to make quick and easy the respectable 99-point-something% who are trying to get through that airport. So it's a combination of technology and human experience that makes our borders secure.
But terrorism experts are sceptical about these promises. And with the UK at high risk of attack, they warn that the border is the last place to compromise on security.
How much more information do we need to remind us of the threat that's facing this country from international terrorism? The border is the first point of defence. You dilute our capability there, you're opening up the gates for the terrorists to come in and mount attacks.
The Home Office is starting to issue a new biometric passport over the next few months. They say it is one of the most secure documents in the world. Now, if you'd like more information on tonight's programme, please visit our website at itv.com/tonight. Until next week, though, good evening and thanks for watching.
Coming up next week, adoption crisis. There are 4,000 children waiting to be adopted in the UK, but a quarter of them will never find a permanent home. Jonathan Maitland reveals how we're failing to find families for our most vulnerable children.
Emmerdale is back next, and then Becky's World falls apart again. Coronation Street's at 8:30. And a cultural journey in which 3 pairs of celebrities all compete to identify the true essence of France is here at 9. That's our new series, Monte Carlo or Bust.